Dr. Alan Lycka here, and I'd like to welcome you to How to Live a Fantastic Life show, where we will be discussing the important aspects of your life. We hope to inspire you to live the best life you can. Get out of your comfort zone and explore the awesome world around you. Break through your barriers. Take inspired action. Use the difficulties in your life to achieve the best version of you.
When his idea of game night has you feeling played, or your teacher's pet has become unleashed, and inseparable has become intolerable. Visit boystown.org/parenting. We've got parenting guides, videos, articles, tools, and quick tips from experts backed by over 100 years of experience. Get your parenting going in the right direction with Boys Town.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a very special guest. His name is Jeffrey Saunders, and Jeffrey's had a very tumultuous life, but it's led to him where he is today. He's a healer, an online radio talk show host, a #1 international best-selling co-author. You know, Jeffrey started as a disadvantaged kid. He went through sexual, physical, mental, and verbal abuse, as well as emotional abuse. He suffered throughout his life with the diagnosis of 5 mental health illnesses, and he went through 12 suicide attempts starting at the age of 12. And he had a near-death experience at the age of 40. Now, I'm sure Jeffrey couldn't see the path ahead of him and couldn't see where he is today, but he's here and he really has turned the corner and he is freed from suffering from that stuff he went through, from having, now he has 0 mental illnesses and is giving back to those who reach out. Welcome, Jeffrey.
Oh, thank you. Very beautiful intro you got done there.
Now, tell me, let's go back. Let's go back to when all this was occurring. You know, let's go through your journey. Can you summarize it for me?
For sure. So, as you mentioned, with all that at the beginning, you know, it all stems to not feeling worthy and good enough through the experiences I have gone through all the forms of abuse that you had mentioned. And really feeling that energy that I was not good enough for anything, going home every day with a father who was not emotionally available, a lot of verbal abuse, mental abuse at home, dealing with that. And at school every year being bullied. Every time I moved around from school to school, I was bullied and picked on, and the teachers always treated me different. So, of course, going through all that as a child and holding on to all that energy, I was then try to take my life at the age of 12 years old, not wanting to feel how I felt anymore, not feeling worthy or good enough to even be here, separated from the truth of who we all are within. And it's very painful when we go through these experiences. So as I led throughout my life, had many different forms of addictions, and got the diagnosis of PTSD, bipolar, in throughout my 20s, trying to take my life, and yeah, so I just really suffered throughout my life. I started my healing journey though at the age of 17. That's when my life I started reaching out for outside help to help how I was feeling, help the things I was dealing with within, but it definitely didn't happen overnight. There was no easy fix for you know, what I was holding on to at that time. So, you know, I really suffered a lot of my life in and out of the psych ward, being given medications, you know, that was never the cure, but it was a Band-Aid. And sometimes sometimes the medications I was given, it actually made me worse. But it was never healing and curing me of the truth of what I've learned on my path that freed me, was removing energy of lower suffering of when I suffered. And when I had my near-death experience, and I went through that experience, it was the last time trying to take my life, and I was 40 years old. And I had the beautiful gift of understanding the difference between consciousness within us, the human mind, of the aliveness of thoughts that are created in that space that we live in this human experience. And then when I died, there was a shifting to my soul's consciousness. So when I stopped breathing to end my life, there was a shifting that happened, and it separated me from the human mind to the being of light of who we all are within. So I went through this very beautiful experience and understanding through that experience the separation between the two. So I went through that experience on the other side of what I went through, and I ended up coming back to my body. It was about 4 minutes of time that passed before I came back to my body, and then I was gifted to being able to see the energy that's always around us. So the different frequencies of energy of our inner body of light, of what it's running at within us that is always feeling. Now I'm able to see the energy, and I've actually been working with higher beings of light, and they've been showing me on healing me on the process to remove the energies that cause us to suffer here. And I've been using my life now giving back and ending suffering for those who are ready, who reach out to me, who are open to do the work that I am here doing. And I've been changing lives globally now for the last 2 years now, of people through video call sessions with me. And today I'm in this very beautiful space, and all I feel within me is body of energy. So it's even now the being of light within me that speaks for me, because I no longer live through the human mind's consciousness. It is the being within my physical form that is actually moving through me today, doing the work that I am doing here. And yeah, so I'm in a very beautiful space today, nothing but unconditional love for all things that I've experienced, understanding that we all come here to learn, grow, and evolve. And when we do the work of healing and healing the experiences of the past that cause us to not feel worthy or good enough, we are then freed, and we feel more love, joy, and happiness.
Okay, Jeff, I'm going to stop you there
Yep.
for a minute. Okay. Part of this healing must have been forgiveness. Did you forgive those who harmed you?
There are many layers of it, and forgiveness is huge. Having to forgive. Though the first thing when I work with people on teaching them is understanding how to forgive yourself. When you can understand how to forgive yourself for the actions that you have done in this lifetime, and you have core understandings as to why you actually did it, and this is what I do with people that I work with on healing, guiding them to healing, is understanding that you didn't have the tools or knowledge to know what you did at the times when you made those mistakes in the past. Because if you would do things differently today, it means your soul has learned and grown with new tools and knowledge, and you have evolved from that experience for your soul's evolution. It's also understanding that if you can't forgive yourself and you're doing things in your life today in this moment that is not serving you in the highest way, it's because you're holding on to hurt and pain of experiences that we have lived through. We have not healed through that conditioning, and that conditioning of that vibration of those experiences are still a part of us, and it is what is causing us to do things that no longer serve us. So when you understand it's lower energy that's causing you to do harm to others, and it's not the truth of who we are within, and understanding you can forgive yourself because you would do things differently today because you have learned and you're not your past experiences, there is freedom of energy to be released in these moments. And it's when we understand now on how to forgive ourselves, as I say things quickly here, it's understanding that all the people that have ever harmed you have been conditioned through hurt and pain, and they have not been healed from past generations passing on trauma or actions of not feeling worthy or good enough of what they have lived through. And they were not healed from it. So that energy is a part of them, and it is what is causing them to do it to another. So definitely learning to forgive others, that it was never anything personal to who you were in those moments when they harmed you. It's because they were not healed from what was done to them.
Okay, I'm going to stop you again, Jeff. Definitely healing, and part of healing is the forgiveness of others and yourself. That is a fundamental part of the healing mechanism. And it's something I teach as well when I'm coaching people. And
Beautiful.
Everybody has something they need to forgive others for. It's amazing how many people have had, especially men, have had problems with their fathers and have never totally forgiven their fathers for the interaction that they've had with them, or the lack of interaction for them. The other thing people need to probably forgive is their mothers, because some people have a real loving mother, but others have had mothers that didn't love them that much. And it's funny how you go through life and you can actually see people and you can pick them out of a crowd, the ones that their mothers didn't love them because they're different than everybody else. And they have a totally different way of presenting themselves to the world.
Meet Norm. He lives with anxiety, but with the help of this latest innovation from Be Normal, he can be normal, just like everyone else. With the swipe of a finger, you can project happiness, confidence, machismo. Why settle for being real when you can be normal? The Normal Maker, new from Be Normal. This item doesn't really work because there's no such thing as normal. We're all different. What we like, how our brains work. In fact, 1 in 5 of us live with mental illness. Don't filter who you are. Start by talking to someone you trust. And remember, there is no normal.
The Secrets to Living a Fantastic Life is an amazing read. If this book doesn't pick you up to sing above the crowd, I will be amazed. What great things do you imagine for yourself? Do you know what's holding you back? Dr. Alan Lycka, a prominent physician, has taken what he's learned from being handed a diagnosis of his pending death and turned that insight out from inside his heart and mind out to you. You may have heard the idea, it's not what happens to me, it's what I do with it. Dr. Lycka explodes this idea, this way of thinking and being, into 13 golden pearls for you to take one by one, practice, and string together like a necklace you will wear to guide you through life's challenges. Like metal that is tempered by extreme elements, so are we. Dr. Lycka will show you how to turn terrible things into real and practical new ways to lead your life. Believe it and believe in yourself. The Secrets to Living a Fantastic Life is an amazing book. Amazing. Get your copy today at Amazon.
Did you know kids who drink during adolescence are at a higher risk for alcoholism and brain damage?
Particularly as it relates to memory loss and motor function.
Plus, this can lead to school, social, and legal problems.
And puts them at a higher risk for suicide.
You have the power to prevent your teen from underage drinking. Talk to them about the dangers of alcohol.
And help us have a better future.
We're listening.
To learn more, visit ccapsa.org.
So, those are forgivenesses that we all have to reach down in our side and do that. And that's where I tell people that coaching is a very important part of this. You might be able to do it all by yourself. In fact, you probably could, but that's the hard way of doing it. The hard way of doing it is to do everything wrong before you get it right. It's more important to reach out and get people that can help you along the way. It's like stepping on the shoulders of giants to do so.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't start reaching out to those who had the tools and knowledge to know more that I didn't know, because all I knew was what I lived through. I didn't have any more knowledge to help me on my path. But because I reached out to a therapist and I reached out and I did all these different programs and I reached out to different coaches and I reached out to all these people, it is why a big part of also all the information of almost 30 years of outside help and doing all the work, that I've gained all these tools and knowledge to not be stuck anymore. And I'm able to give it back to those who want to reach out. And yeah, it's beautiful. Unity.
Well,
right?
of course, Jeff, you can't know what you don't know. And that's the problem many people are in. They don't know enough to get out of that cycle because they don't know it. And if they knew it, they wouldn't be in that cycle to begin with. So that's an important distinction there. Yeah. Now let's talk about your business and how you're helping others with it right now.
Yeah. So my biggest session that's taking off is my 3-hour session, Freeing Your Soul. And the work that I do, because I understand the difference in the separation between the human mind of consciousness and not even the subconscious, the soul's consciousness. So when I work with people, and I work, like I said, it's global. I work through video call sessions. What I'm actually able to do is I keep them in a meditative state where they're just being aware and observing, and they're aligning to the words that I am saying to them to feel the freedom that they need to release and let go. And this is how people typically, the first 2 days after a session with me, I actually had a doctor, psychiatrist on the psych ward in the UK reach out and do a session with me. And he wrote a testimonial. It's on my webpage, thecanadianhealingmedium.com. And he wrote a testimonial that out of all his life, he cannot explain how all his life he suffered, all his life of all the different things that he's done. And within 3 hours, he was able to be transformed where he does not have, where he had the first time he doesn't have depression in his life. And what happens is I removed 9 different layers of energies of healings that we go through, of different vibrations of energy that your being within is feeling and holding on to. And when we remove these energies, confession is a big part of my 3-hour session. You have to write out all the harm that has ever been done to you and all the shame and guilt of actions you've done to others. Because when we go into this session, it's one of the major parts that I use a higher frequency of light energy. And I use that to connect with those, and it vibrates through the person as we're going through healing, and it releases the darker energies of the experiences that they've been suffering with. So there's much more, and they can go look on my personal page, on my webpage, and right under transformation. And then I have my healing and my coaching session, and my other big one that's taking off are my workshops. So for many people who have grown with Reiki energy that we've been gifted with, of understanding and connecting to Reiki energy is a light consciousness that people have been able to tap into. And since my death experience and other experiences I've gone through, Reiki comes from the pure source of what all energy is. And I'm attuning people, and I work with the pure source of energy of what all energy is. So when we connect to that pure source of energy, I attune those, just like those who have taken Reiki. You've been attuned to the energy of light consciousness that we call Reiki energy here, and people have grown with it. And now there's higher energies that we can work with on healing, and all my work is distant, and I teach the power of distant healing on amplifying. So I've been really growing with my workshop, and I've had many Reiki masters leave testimonials right on my page, on my webpage, for them on how they have grown to become stronger energy healers with what they're doing. And yeah, so that's, summing up what's on my webpage and how I'm giving back with my work.
Sounds huge. And, when you were going through all the hard times of your life, would you have dreamed or imagined you would be where you are today?
I swore I would be dead by the age of 30. I did so much of drugs growing up, starting at the age of 15, so much. And I said, by the age of 30, yeah, I'd definitely be dead. I wasn't dead at 30, 32, said I would be dead. No, still here. I would never, ever have imagined that I would be who I am today in this moment, that I have grown into, why I've come here, all out of all those, suicide attempts. And I'm so sorry if anyone's listening and you've lost someone to suicide because they never had the healing that they needed to remove the energies that were causing them to suffer. And yeah, so I forget where I was going with that, with the suicide attempt.
Again, I asked if you would have ever imagined where you are today.
No.
At that time where you were going through all that grief.
Yeah.
Now, this is something I always tell people, is that, and I'm a believer in God and that sort of thing. So please forgive me, everyone, for not. But, I think this is proof that God works in mysterious ways. and we really do not understand his plans for us or how he works for us. But if you get attuned to the message, if you get attuned to truly miracles can work in your life. Truly miracles can change your life, and you can be, and I'm going to hazard to guess that you, Jeffrey, would never be where you are now if you didn't go through those awful things that you went through.
No, and some people ask, I was on another show, and they asked me, what would you go back, if there's a time capsule to go back to tell your younger self? What one thing would you tell yourself? I wouldn't tell myself anything. I wouldn't change a moment of anything I've ever lived through. I have nothing but love and understanding for all those who have harmed me. It was not their fault. It was past generations of trauma that we never had the healings here for. And all the information, I can now connect with all of those people on an emotional level of any form of abuse, because I have lived through it. So I understand there's no comparison to another, but I understand the feeling of what I felt and what I went through, and then the shame and guilt of what I carried, and then the actions from those experiences. that I needed healing for, I would not know all the information that I have today to be able to give back to those who are desiring and wanting change. And yeah, so I'm very grateful.
People start something great in their 40s and 50s. Getting your retirement savings on track is no different. Go to aceyourretirement.org, and in 3 minutes, you'll get personalized tips to help boost your retirement savings. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Are you tired of feeling frustrated, unfulfilled, and constantly telling yourself that things will get better someday? Perhaps you have this burning feeling of anxiety like you should be doing something. Today, that can all change. Dr. Alan Stephen Lycka has coached thousands just like yourself to achieve the success you've always dreamed of. It's time to fully own your dreams and let go of those stories that seem to be stopping you from bringing those dreams to life. You can achieve your most ambitious goals and create the life you truly love. Ordinary people are now doing this extraordinary thing. Dr. Lycka will help you identify your purpose and make your dreams come to life. It's that simple. Your bright future is ready for you to claim it. All you need is to get clear on what you really want. The universe will take care of the rest, and Dr. Lycka will show you how to use the universal law of attraction to make this happen. Say goodbye to last year and get the success you've always dreamed of. Your change starts today. Contact Dr. Alan Stephen Lycka today for your coaching session. There is limited availability, so call today at 844-936-3362 or go to our website at www.dralanlycka.com. Change your life today.
Where are you headed?
Just gonna hang out.
If any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Text and whatever. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And there's an old saying, Jeffrey, that hurt people hurt people. And I'm going to throw that around, is that hurt people who heal people. Yeah. And so that is the magic of this. But again, the journey starts with yourself. And again, I tell people it's not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens. It's the path you take out of what happens to you that's so much more important than what happened to you. The difference is like night and day.
And, some people, if they're listening now and you're feeling stuck and you're feeling broken, I see all people as perfection today. I see all people as perfect because they're here to learn and grow through the struggles they're going through, to come back closer to the truth of who they are, and to be reunited with the truth of who they are after going through their suffering, because they have learned so much. And I speak on my own personal experiences. I'm sure the same as you, because of what you have lived through. You've gained so much wisdom and knowledge on your path, right? And it's truly a beautiful gift once we complete the healing work, or enough healing to bring us out of those spaces of feeling broken.
That's right. And, the broke state is a terrible state to be in. Don't get me wrong. And I know many of our listeners are broken. Start with a baby step. Start with getting some help. Start with the path of letting your soul heal. Start with forgiveness. And forgiveness is not a one-time thing. It has to go on many, many, many times until you get to a point that you truly forgive. And it's not just in words only, it's also in deeds and everything else you do with your life.
Yeah. And feeling it. Thinking and feeling are two separate entities altogether. Thinking is within the human mind's consciousness, always thinking. You think this, you think that. When you feel, that is the aliveness of our being of light within. Our being of light's guidance system runs on feeling the energy of the vibration of whatever it's feeling in that moment. So when you can feel forgiveness and you're not triggered from the past, that is when you feel the alignment of freedom through my experiences.
And that's huge. I think people have to realize that that change is always possible. Change can always occur. And no matter how down and out you are, no matter how much you've been hurt, no how much you've been beaten down, that if you try and want to, you're going to make a difference.
Yes, it will happen for us. Unfortunately, when people say give it time, no one wants to hear that because we're stuck in it now. I'm feeling this energy now, right? But focus a day at a time with what you can do at a day at a time to elevate yourself on whatever it is that you need. Reaching out. Sometimes people, reach out and they're like, can I have a free session? Well, I don't have the energy anymore. I actually have guided meditations that have been freeing people that I want to share on as well. One for healing hurt and pain of the past. That's on my main page, on my webpage, and also healing physical pain and suffering using divine light energy. So I have those posted there, for those who need that as well. I just wanted to share them.
Excellent. Now, Jeffrey, this show is called How to Live a Fantastic Life Show. How do you live a fantastic life? And I mean on a personal level.
Oh, yeah. They're lying to me right away. Finding love for myself, loving myself. When I love myself and I'm able to heal through all the experiences, because we all can, I'm living proof of it and why I share my life all the time. When we find this space of being able to love ourselves and feeling that for yourself within, your whole world changes for how you view everything. And I feel more love from all the experiences that I have in living this fantastic life that I am living today. It all started with finding the love for myself.
Well, that is true. You cannot love others if you do not love yourself. You cannot love others if you do not start loving yourself. So you've got to start that process and the healing right at the start. And there are many of our listeners that have been beaten down enough because of all the events in their life that they have a problem loving themselves. But the very first step is love of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we discussed earlier, everything is baby steps. Do not look at the whole elephant and see it all. Taking those small bite size, like you said on when we were just chit-chatting earlier.
Yeah, the joke we said before the show, ladies and gentlemen, is how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time.
Mm-hmm. Right? Same thing with your life, with all the baggage of what we carry, of all the hurt and pain that we have ever lived through. Anything that caused us to not feel worthy or good enough, it lowered how we felt. And then we end up just thinking we don't have to deal with it. Well, it's going to stay a part of us until we start dealing with it, right? And it's focusing, just picking away at it. It's not about perfection, it's about progression. As long as each day you're able to pick away at something that you have lived through of suffering or whatever, and reaching out, it could be reading books or audio books on self-help or whatever the case may be. As long as you're working on yourself to heal, you'll get there. I got here at the age of 44, right? So it took me a couple decades, 30 of them to be exact, on starting my healing journey. But it doesn't have to take you 30 years. When you reach out to people who have done the work in many different healers in many different forms on however they align for their path, and they're giving back. Why? Because they understand the hurt and pain or things that they have lived through, and they don't want you to suffer. So they have the tools and knowledge to gift you with, right? We just have to reach out, and those will align to us on our path.
Can you tell people how people can find out more about your world and the services that you offer?
So if you Google the Canadian Healing Medium, I'll pop up, or the CanadianHealingMedium.com, and my webpage is there. So Jeffrey Saunders, Saunders.
I've got to thank you for spending this time with us today. Bye for now. Have a fantastic day.
You've been listening to How to Live a Fantastic Life with your host, Dr. Alan Stephen Lycka. If you love the show, be sure to share with your family and friends. We are heard daily on this network. Dr. Lycka wants you to live your best life. Visit coachingwithdrlycka.com and book your free 15-minute discovery call today. Remember to pick up your copy of The Secrets of Living a Fantastic Life today at Amazon.com. Until next time, have a fantastic life.
You're listening to AM/FM 247, the best in talk and music, all day and every day.
Dr. Alan Lycka here, and I'd like to welcome you to How to Live a Fantastic Life show.